Hey, you guys, and welcome to my top 10 of 2014. So, fun times. I am surprised that I'm finally getting around to this because, for 2013, for 2014, I had written down my 2013 top books, and I never got around to doing it. And I felt like it was going that way the same time this year, but then I was looking at it, I was like, no, you will get to this. So number one, I limited them because it was going to be the best, most of, best of, or whatever. And then I took away sequels, and I took away straight up romance books that even while I loved, I'm like, maybe not recommend to everybody because it depends on people's taste. Well, that's the way with all books, but I don't know. And then I just picked books that I thought I would just try to force someone to read, no matter what they said. So that's how I determined my criteria, and magically I ended up with 10 books and 2 what's that word? Favorite mentions. Something mentions that thing where there's 2 books from the list, and then you just say, oh, honorable mentions. Oh my god, yes. So I have 2 honorable mentions as well. Wow, that's going to be really sad. No one watches that thought process train wreck. So, the first book that I want to talk to you guys about is More Than This by Patrick Ness. And earlier, hopefully I haven't changed it, but I filmed a fragmented video of it where I just read the first chapter prologue in it. So I'm going to link that down below so you guys can go check it out. But this is 5 out of 5 stars for me. This is about this boy Seth, and he dies and he wakes up and he doesn't know where he is, but it looks familiar, and he just kind of is like, what is going on? So awesome. I loved it. It's near and dear to my heart. Patrick Ness is on one of my I need to finish that series list in regards to the Chaos Walking trilogy, because I really don't want it to end. So I haven't read the 3rd book yet, but I'm like, I need to get to it. It needs to happen. So yes. The next book that I have is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And hey, if this had been part of a series, maybe I probably would have felt the same way. But it's a standalone. It's about this boy named Nobody, aka Bod, and his whole family is murdered in the first page. Wow, that was just like, oh, you went there. I thought this was a children's book. Okay, tragic things happen in children's stories all the time. Seriously. It's like The Lion King, really. I mean, never mind. The Lion King and this have nothing to do, but I was just talking about the tragedy aspect. Moving on, but it's about this boy, and he grows up in this graveyard, but he cannot leave the confines of the graveyard, or he will no longer be protected. And I really enjoyed this book. I love this book. It was towards the end. I was just like, I felt so attached to the characters in the world that was created in here, and it was just fantastic. And I definitely want to keep going on to read more of Neil Gaiman's works. 5 out of 5 stars. Well, they'll all be. The next book that I have to talk about is Big Fish by Daniel Wallace. You guys, awesomeness. So I love this movie. So I finally got my hands on the book. Geraldine gave it to me for Christmas, and I read it right away. I forgot. I think I read it the day that it got here, or the next day or something. And I was just in awe of this book. I loved it so much. It's just about this guy named Edward Boom. He was an extraordinary man, and he lived an extraordinary life. So we have the snippets of his life throughout all here. And just like his son, we sort of don't know, has been maybe embellished on or some not, because he's kind of this man, this myth, this legend. And it is so awesome. And you're just kind of with him through his life. And in the story, there's more of in the movie, there's more of a concrete storyline versus they expand on it just a little bit more, so that there's a real story, beginning, middle, end. In this one, there is sort of that, but it's a magical realism, just kind of book that is awesome. That definitely should be read, and the movie doesn't take away from the book, and the book doesn't take away from the movie. I love them both separately, and I love them both together, and it was not a disappointment at all for either one. So you guys should definitely go ahead and check that out. Love them. So the next book that I have to talk to you guys about is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. This was just a beautiful book. I when I first pre-ordered this book, I totally thought it was going to be about this girl and she is going to have powers. And like, even that I had read, even the guy who like wrote it, I believe he like did some work on some X-Men comics or whatever. So of course powers are a thing apparently. But no, it turns out to be a zombie post-apocalyptic novel, which, okay, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting, and I was not disappointed at all. I really want to do like a full-fledged video review because I could not for the life of me put it into words, written words on how I felt, and I felt like I need to just speak it rather than write it, and so I will get to that one day. But 5 out of 5 stars for this girl we follow. Her name is Milena, I believe, and she's a kid, and she is a very special girl. Every day she is strapped into like this contraption, and like guys with guns like point them at her while she goes to her classroom, and there's reasons for that. Ooh, and just the ending, just like the whole book just kind of takes a different point of view from like regular zombie novels that I sometimes read, or just like I seen, and it was kind of really interesting, and I like that. So the next book that I have to talk to you guys about is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Okay, come on, of course you guys, this is on my favorites list. This follows Victor and Eli, and they figure out how to become extraordinary human beings, XOs. They try these experiments to become people with like powers and stuff. Something goes wrong and right at the same time, but Victor ends up spending 10 years in prison. Once he gets out, of course he wants revenge. I feel like this is like just this awesome novel that you'll be enraptured with from start to end, and you'll want more and you hope for more. And I think she is supposed to be writing more, but even so, it still stands as a standalone, so that is awesome. But I would love to know more about the world, because I read her prequel and it was like all types of awesomeness, and I was like, awesome, like even if you don't follow these two, just I need more. So we'll see what happens. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book will be like 2 books together, and it will be Cain's Blood and Project Cain by Geoffrey Girard. Project Cain is a YA book, and Cain's Blood is an adult book, and they're both each separately on the list. They count towards the top 10. Project Cain specifically follows his boy Jeff, and he finds out that he is a clone of Jeffrey Dahmer, and that his father isn't really his father, but he's a scientist who has just been kind of watching him grow up and doing that whole and studying him as he grows up, because he doesn't grow up in a lab or anything. He grows up in a house and stuff. And then one night, and when he's learning this, it's like everything breaks loose, and just he is like devastated. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a teenage boy who's having an identity crisis, and right and wrong, and just he doesn't know what to do now. Like, that poor boy. And it's very much a YA novel in that respect. Like, there's not, I feel like, in some details that maybe some people want, but you get it in Cain's Blood. Like, I ordered this one right away after I read this one, and definitely in this you get point of view from someone who was in this book basically the whole time, and we get his point of view on Jeff and stuff, because we get what Jeff thinks he thinks of him, but you never know until you read his point of view in here. And we also get multiple point of views in here, so we get like all these different people and what their thoughts on this whole Project Cain, or like just like, because they turned, like, he wasn't the only clone, there were other clones, and so we get some of their point of views in here as well, which is really awesome. And this one has more nitty-gritty like details, maybe stuff you probably don't want to know. Like, it tells you things that you're just like, wow, yeah, and stuff like that. So I'm really glad I read them like back to back. It was just like they both take place simultaneously, so it's all happening at the same time, and you just get a wider scope once you read Cain's Blood as to how everyone is pulling strings and stuff. I really enjoyed both these books. Gave them both 5 out of 5 stars. I believe they're both on Book Outlet, so go forth and get them and read them back to back, and let me know how you feel about them. So next book I want to talk about is one I probably should have mentioned from the book. So the first one I want to talk about is The Egg by Andy Weir, and it is a short story, and I'm going to link the GoodReads down below, and you can just follow the GoodReads link to like the link to the novel itself. I'll probably just link both down below, but it counts on GoodReads. It's just this really short story that just blew me away, and when I look back on in those books that I read that year, that one definitely pops into mind. It's only like a few paragraphs long, but it's awesome, and you guys should definitely go and check it out. The next book is also by Andy Weir, and it is The Martian, and I absolutely, positively love this book. It's also becoming a movie, and I'll link the IBDM page, and I believe Matt Damon is going to be playing the lead, which just makes it even better. But it's about this guy, and he's stranded on Mars, and his team had left him because they thought he was dead, but he's not, and it just turns into this, oh my god, what's gonna happen next, like, kind of novel. It's just insane in the membrane. I really enjoyed it. 5 out of 5 stars. Can't wait to see the movie and how everything goes through. Like, some people said that maybe he was a little too witty at times, but I don't know. Like, it was like his personality, plus yeah, so all kinds of things. I really do want to get, like, I did a review on it, so I'm going to link that below, so that way you guys can know all my thoughts about it. So, yeah, because I got it for review, so I did a review. So, the last book, last but not least, the 10th book, they were in no particular order, is The Enchanted by Rene Denfeld. And I also did a fragmented video of this where I just read the first page, 2.5 pages or so. So, I'm going to link that down for you guys. I did one for More Than This as well. I believe I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. And this one follows some unknown person who is in prison, and specifically on death row, and it follows this person just telling the story from the point of view and telling all the goings on in this prison that is happening, as well as we meet this lady and this priest. The lady is someone who gets people off of death row, and she's trying to get this one guy, York, off of death row, and we follow her investigation, and this priest who's just kind of become disillusioned and having a crisis of faith, and I guess some ways, about the going-ons and just random people in the prison. And it's just so written so beautifully and heartbreakingly, and it's just like, on one hand, it's like, you have such great writing and all this other stuff, but there's just like the sadness, because no matter what, like, it takes place in prison on death row. like, believe me, it ain't a happy book in a lot of respects, but I really loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Go listen to the thing and tell me what you guys think, and if you guys plan on reading it. The same with More Than This. And that was my top 10. Now for my 2 honorable mentions. They weren't 5-star books. I gave them 5 stars at the beginning, but I ended up giving them each just like 4 stars. But let's start off with, first, To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I love this novel book. I just have to say that I only went back and gave it 4 stars after thinking about really some hard things, like, oh, this euphoric, and I just wanted the sequel so bad. But at the same time, I'm like, you really couldn't have finished up everything in one novel, like, seriously. So I'm ready and waiting for the sequel. P.S. I love you. This follows this girl, Laura Jean, who writes all these love letters to all these boys that she has had crushes on, and somehow the letters, they get mailed out, and then she has to deal with the fallout of all that. And there are some characters I loved in this book, some I hated. Some people thought Laura Jean was like too innocent, naive, maybe. Sometimes they felt like that she wasn't really 16. But I think people really need to stop like thinking about what they were like as 16-year-olds, because some 16-year-olds compared to others are naive and innocent. It depends on how you grow up and all your kind of what you experience at the age what you're exposed to. And I felt like she was kind of very sheltered, so it's not a surprise that she is the way she is, I feel like. So there we go. The next one is, you guys probably have guessed it by now, it is FanGirl by Rowell. So this follows this girl, Kath, and her twin sister, Rene, kind of throws this bombshell at her that she wants to that when they go to the same college, that she wants to room with somebody else, because she already did all that with Kath. Now, unlike Rene, Kath is not very outgoing. She's very introverted. She gets like anxious, like thinking about going to new places and talking to new people and stuff. And her roommate, who we meet, it just kind of tries to help her out with that. And also, Kath writes fan fiction, and that's kind of something that she loves to do during this book. And during this book, I am one of the few people, apparently, who read all the fan fiction parts. But I think that one thing that some people probably don't notice is that some of it was written for fan fiction, but some of it was like the actual Simon Snow chapters from the actual book. So like there's like, those are excerpts for sometimes for the real book, and then sometimes for the fan fiction that Kath has written. And I love those parts, and sometimes, and so I was thinking after I read the book that I loved it more sometimes than what was going on in the book, to be honest. I love FanGirl. I do plan to reread it and do a full-blown review sometime. And the author is supposed to be writing Carry On, which was a fan fiction story in like a real book form. So I'm not sure if it's Cass fan fiction or just the actual fake book that she's writing about. But I do look forward to that. I will definitely be getting that, and I will definitely be getting the sequel to this. And I will hopefully be rereading this as well and doing like a spoken review soon. So you guys, let me know down below if you guys have read any of these books before, whether you liked them, you hated them, do you plan to read any of these? Be sure to check out the fragmented videos, and I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.